Welcome everybody, this is Mr. Cillian. Today we're going to be doing a Tic Tac Toe Lab. This is going to be the first page. In this program, you will develop a Tic Tac Toe game, and you're going to develop a program that plays against you, and hopefully it can play just as well as you play it. So on this first page, you'll use clones to display Tic Tac Toe board, and you'll let two players enter in moves. So this project is spread out over actually two different labs, but I'm going to combine them into one. So on this page, you'll learn about cloning a sprite. It's kind of like copying, only better. And then later on, you'll extend the project to detect wins and ties. And then later on, you'll actually allow the computer to be the other player. So first thing I want you to do is to click right here, and it should bring up, it should load this tic-tac-toe starter program on there, starter code on there. So on the starter code, it says when I'm clicked, create a clone, and then basically it says glide to random spot, -200 to 200 for the X value, and then -150 to 50. Okay, so we're going to click it, and it is just sliding around to random areas in those constraints. All right, so it says right here that if you click on this next costume, you're going to see the costumes change. And it's changing from empty to X to O. So we're going to go ahead and create a tic-tac-toe board. You will use clones to create a 3x3 tic-tac-toe board. So these are 3x3, 3 high, and 3 long, 3 deep. So let's go over specifically what a clone is. A clone is a copy of a sprite that shares information with its parent sprite, or we also call it the original sprite. For example, clones have copies of any script from the parent. If the parent script is changed, then the clone's script is changed too. So another thing is that any changes you make to the clone script, it's not shared with the parent. So clones actually start with the same position, costumes, and scripts as their parent, but clones made by a program. Don't appear in the same corral. Another thing to remember is that they're temporary. Clicking on the stop or green flag will delete all the temporary clones in the project. So there are permanent clones, but they have to be created differently, and that will be for a different project at a different time. So in this project, you're going to need 9 clones to represent each box that we're going to use. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up this make board and edit it. So it says you have to create a make board block. So when I click on this one, it should make the board. All right, so let's do a couple things first. I am going to go into the stage, and I'm actually going to try to upload a grid. All right, so now I have a grid uploaded. I want to make this on the center, so I'm going to do 0, 0. All right, so it's going to say, we're actually going to take this portion out and put this in here. So when I click on this, it's going to make a clone and go to 0, 0. And it's at 0, 0. So that should be my center. I want it to go to left 50 and up 50. So I'm going to say -50, +50. All right, so that's my top left square. And remember how we talked before, if you press the red stop button, it clears all the other clones. So now I need 3 rows, 3 columns, and basically 9 other squares. So let's do a repeat. So I put in a for block. These are my rows 1 to 3. Each time I do it, it's going to make a clone. So, and I want to make it move to the right 50 each time. All right, so far it's looking pretty good. This is the first row, and then I want to make a second row and a third row. So these are the rows, and it's actually making 3 columns for each one. So let's put in columns. And it's pretty particular where these changes go. All right, so here we go. I have 3 rows, and then each row is going to make 3 columns. So for the column, it's going to move right 50. So here's the first row, right 50, right 50, right 50, reset. I want to go down 50 and back. So I'm over here. I want to go back 1, 2, 3, back 150, down 50. So when I go to the next row, I'm going to change my x by negative 150. And then I'm going to go, I change my y by negative 50. And let's see if this works. All right. So it goes, let's walk through it very slowly. Okay, it starts at negative 150, negative 50, positive 50. And it's going to go to the first row, and it's going to make 3 columns. First column, next column move over 50, next column over 50. Then it's going to go back 150, then do down 150 and repeat the process. Okay, so I have my extra sprite there. I can get rid of that one pretty easily if I go to hide. Press apply, and this block should hide. And there you go. Let's go ahead and click on each sprite and see if it's working. Okay, let's see what we need to do next. All right, so when I'm clicked, we want to change costume. All right, so now that we have our tic-tac-toe grid, we can go ahead and go back to the stage and go back to a blank background because we don't need those coordinates anymore. So there's a couple bugs in this right now. If I click on this one where it says next costume, and it's changing to X. All right, so here's one bug in there, is if I click on this and I reset this, I click it again, it's not working. So we have to do a show first. Or no, I'm sorry, not hide, it's show. Move that up here. All right, and then here's another bug in there, is if I do this again, it says all of them are X's, which we do not want them all to be X's. So let's do set. Let's do switch to costume empty, show, and then it's going to make the board, then it's going to hide. And there you go. All right, so we have 3 costumes. First one is empty, second one is X, third one is O. Okay, so every time I click on it, it's going to switch, which is good, but it should alternate. First person gets X, second person gets O. So there's already a block that's made for us, and it says X's turn, true. So we're going to attach that. So basically, it's going to go ahead, it's going to make our tic-tac-toe squares. Next part is it is going to say it is X's turn. Okay? So with that information, I'm going to bring this down here. So each time you click on these, it's not going to automatically switch over. It's going to first check, is it X's turn? Okay. And the way it's going to check that is name of costume. Actually, no, I'm going to back up just a little bit. So we're going to do an if statement. If else statement. Okay. And it's going to be if X equals true, and it's basically if it's X's turn equals true, if it's X's turn, so it's going to check, is it X's turn? If it is, then we're going to click on a box and it should turn to X. So change costume to X. So switch costume to X. If it is not X's turn, then we're going to make it O. All right, so let's start trying this right now. I'm going to click on, it's going to start off by making the squares, and then it is going to say, is it X turn? It is X's turn right now. So I'm going to click on this, and it turns X. Okay, let's try this again. Ooh, it does X again. Okay, so let's think about what we need to do. We need to turn this to false. So it's first going to let the sprite switch costumes. Then we're going to say set X to false. All right, so let's try this again. Clears the stage. Actually, let's try that one more time. All right, so I'm going to click on this box. It is X's turn. Now it is not X's turn. So X's turn is false. So we're going to go, it should change to O. Okay. It didn't change that back though, so it's still going to do O. So I need to change it back to X's turn. So go ahead and duplicate this. So if you switched the costume to O, then that indicates next turn obviously is going to be X's turn. So let's try this again. All right, here we go. All right, so there's one last piece to this. We're going to click on a box right here, and right this O, it's already taken this box. It should not change. And I'm still able to change them, which is not good. So I need to make it sure it only changes if it's empty. All right, so if costume number equals 1, so our costumes, if it equals 1, which is empty, so if it equals 1, then you can go ahead and proceed onto this section. If it doesn't equal 1, then you can't do anything at all. All right, so let's make sure this works. Let's reset. Start this one. It is X's turn. So it goes. It is not X's turn, so it must be O. That one goes, okay, let me try to click on this one, see if it works. So it is not empty. So if it's not empty, then you can proceed on to these ones. This one already has been taken. And it looks like it's working pretty well. All right, so please remember to save this because we will use this for another lab. We're going to continue on with Tic Tac Toe, where we can sense wins and losses.